Wow! Hello, and welcome to Advanced Juggling with Chelsea. I'm Chelsea, and before we get started, I'd like to say thank you to the Jim Lucas Shakota Library for making this program possible. And don't forget, you can even log our time together today as an activity on Beanstack for the Sequoia Master List reading challenges today. Yay! Today we'll learn the basics of club juggling. Now, club juggling is an advanced skill, and it definitely takes time to learn. But you can learn to do anything as long as you're willing to put in the time. It took me almost a whole year to really get good at it. But I enjoyed the process even when I was bad at it. One of the tricks to learning any new skill is learning to have fun along your learning journey, even when you're bad at something. You gotta enjoy the process and not just the result at the end. Today I'll show you the basics on how to get started in your club juggling journey. If you haven't already, head on over to my juggling warm-up video and check that out. Get your arms and wrists nice and warmed up before you start to juggle. So what makes juggling clubs so advanced compared to juggling balls? Well, for one thing, they're heavier than balls, so it takes a lot more energy to practice. Secondly, you have to flip them every time you throw them. So it requires more precision to be able to juggle clubs. I think juggling clubs are more fun because it's an extra challenge for my brain and for my body. Clubs are one of my favorite props because of how versatile they are. You can balance them on your hand. You can swing them around. And of course, juggle. Let's get started. So just like when you learn to juggle balls, you're going to start with just one club. As you can see, there are two parts to the club. This is the handle and this is the rest of it. You're going to hold it on the handle just below this middle point here. You don't want to start too far down here. You want to start more towards the middle, just underneath the middle point on the handle. You're going to practice throwing the club from one hand to the other and flipping it once each time you throw it. Whenever you throw it from one hand to the other, you want to pay attention to the angle. You don't want to throw it right down the center like this, because once you start adding more clubs into the mix, they're just not going to have room if they're all in the center right here. What you want to do is put your arms out at a 45-degree angle from your body. So not all the way to the side, not quite to the center either, but somewhere in the middle. And you're going to do this scooping motion, just like you do when you're juggling balls, and you're going to throw it kind of out to the side and catch it at a 45-degree angle on the other side of your body. So, just like that, bring it back. So it kind of swings through the center a little bit each time. Here's what it looks like from the side. It's not quite all the way out to the side like this. Not center either, but somewhere in the middle. As you practice throwing the club back and forth from one hand to the other and flipping it each time, you can start to experiment with where your hand is on the handle and see if it affects the speed of the flip. For example, if I move my hand up more toward the center, I get kind of a faster flip with that. Whereas if I move my hand closer to the end of the handle like that, I can get a slower, higher flip. Just experiment with different ways of throwing it and kind of get a feel for how the club moves. Practice, 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 practice. The more you play around with just one club, the more familiar your brain and your body will get with its motions. Be patient with yourself. Remember, it takes a lot of time to learn this, and it takes a lot of time for your body to get used to it. If this feels totally awkward for you at first, don't worry, that's normal. In fact, it might feel like it's going to hit you in the face the first few times you throw it. But don't worry, you just need to practice and get familiar with it. The more time you put in practicing it, the more comfortable you will get with the spinning object in front of your face. Once you've gotten plenty of practice with one, it's time to try two. Just like when we learned to juggle balls, you're going to do throw, throw, catch, catch with the clubs. Except this time it's a little trickier because you have to flip both of them. So this might take a while to get used to, but let's try it out. And remember that the angle you're juggling at isn't right here in the center, because they're likely to hit each other if you have them both pointed toward the front. And you don't have them completely out to the side, but somewhere right here in the middle, at this 45-degree angle. If you throw them at that angle, then they won't run into each other, and they'll have plenty of space. So, here we go. Throw, throw, catch, catch. Throw, throw, catch, catch. Throw, throw, catch, catch. You want to practice starting with your right then left hand, and also starting with your left then right hand. Gotta practice everything on both sides if you want to get good at juggling. Yeah. Practice, 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 practice. Put in the time and you can get good at anything. Plus, if you practice clubs enough, you'll have really strong arms. It's true. Throw, throw, catch, catch. Throw, throw, catch, catch. Throw, throw, catch, catch. Try thinking about waiting until the first one is on its way down to throw the second one. It's going to take a while to get used to the timing, but just keep trying and you'll get a good feel for it. It might take you quite a bit of time to get good at practicing with two, but don't worry, that's totally normal. Nobody is perfect starting out. You are going to drop the clubs and make mistakes. The trick is to have fun even when you're failing and being bad at it. If you can enjoy the learning process, then you can keep going and stay motivated to succeed. Once you've had plenty of practice with two, now you can try three. First, let's talk about how to hold two clubs in one hand so that you can start with the hand that has two clubs in it. First, I'm going to hold my club right here under the midpoint, and then I'm going to place my other club on top of it, just like that. So they kind of make a little X. And this way, I can let go of this club that's on the top and still hold on to the club that's on the bottom. So, before you start juggling with three, try holding two clubs in one hand and just throwing one of them, just like that. Let's try it again. Put two clubs in one hand, just release one of them. And everything you practice with one hand, you have to practice with the other hand. So with your other hand, place the club in your hand, right there at the top of the handle, and then just place the other club on top of it like that. Now you can practice releasing one club without releasing the other. Just like that. Once you've learned how to hold two clubs in one hand, and you've gotten plenty of practice doing throw, throw, catch, catch with two clubs, it's time to see if you can try three. For this, you're going to go left, right, just like with ball juggling. You'll start with the hand that has two clubs in it, release the one that's on top, and then immediately go into your juggle. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! I just did a whole juggle. Another thing you want to practice is catching two clubs in one hand. So, a way that you can practice this is by holding all three of your clubs and just practice throwing one from one hand to the other without releasing the ones that are already in each hand. That way you can practice catching that third club on top of the club that's already in your hand. This is something you'll want to get good at so that when you juggle and you're ready to stop juggling, you can do it in a way that doesn't involve just dropping them all on the ground. Oh no! So, practice catching them by throwing the middle one back and forth between each hand and each hand has a club in it. Then when you're juggling, you can stop by catching it. Ta-da! If juggling 3 clubs is too much of a juggle struggle at first, here's another technique that you can use to work your way up to it. Try juggling 1 club and 2 balls at the same time. This might feel kind of awkward at first because they're different weights. The club is heavier than the balls. But if you do this, you can focus on the pattern of the juggle and only have to worry about flipping one of the objects that you're juggling. So it doesn't require necessarily as much mental energy as juggling 3 clubs and having to flip all 3 of them. Let's try it out. Ta-da! If you can practice that, you'll really start to smooth out your club juggling. You can also try juggling with 2 clubs and 1 ball, which is just about as tricky as juggling 3 clubs. But try it out anyway and just have fun with it. Ta-da! Just more ways for you to mix up your practice and keep having fun. You can also try juggling 1 ball, 1 club, and 1 rubber chicken. The possibilities are endless! Or 2 clubs and 1 rubber chicken. Ta-da! You can keep your practice interesting and fun by trying different combinations and mixing things up. And of course, you can always go back to a step before, like throw, throw, catch, catch with 2. You can also always go back to juggling just 1. This will really help you to smooth out your throws and your catches, no matter how far along you are in your juggling journey. You can always go back to this just to smooth things out. Yeah, remember to be patient with yourself and don't take it too seriously. It is just juggling after all. Part of juggling is failure. Once you get comfortable with failure and learn to enjoy the learning process, you can become unstoppable at learning anything you set your mind to. Thanks for joining me today for this program brought to you by the Jim Lucas Shakota Library. And don't forget to log our time together today as an activity on Beanstack for the Sequoia Master List Reading Challenges today. See you next time! This one looks like candy corn. Ooh.